Hello there. How are we all feeling? Alright, well, tonight I'm going to talk about Joe Biden's economic plan. When I first began thinking about it, was during the first presidential election debate. Um, Donald Trump was often told to basically shut up, and Joe Biden spewed out some rhetoric, and that's about all he could remember. Um, he said something about $1 trillion plan. He's made a lot of monetary figures that there's no evidence whatsoever that he's going to be able to do it. There's just no way. Um, and I've made what are called memes depicting on how I think he's going to accomplish or even make an attempt to accomplish economic progress. As we all know, COVID-19 has been detrimental to the world economy. There's no getting around that. And most news outlets, and if you Google search the stock markets, they'll tell you most things have picked up. Well, that's a half truth. They may have picked up, but are they at the levels that they were before? And can the statistical information provided be trusted? And when it comes to money, absolutely fucking not. Not a fucking chance. And this vaccination that's coming out is supposed to be worth a lot of money. I've made videos about that and during my COVID series on YouTube. And it is, but depending on what individuals and what companies make that money and what they plan to do with it in the future, it may not benefit the everyday citizen at all. And you look at things like, okay, well, oil prices, for example, that affects my everyday life because I own a vehicle. Well, you know, the gas companies are renowned for making profits while still gouging on gas prices. Gas prices went down for a little bit a couple of months back, and they went right back up. And it's not due to a shortage of oil. I mean, there's going to be oil for another 100 years at least. There is the push for the green movement, for solar panels and things like that. And, as it were, China is one of the leading nations in developing solar panel technology. Now, they're not building it to use it, of course, because it's insufficient, ineffective, and it's a long way from being as effective as it needs to be to compensate the lack of natural resources, which are bad for the planet. Unfortunately, solar panels they don't provide nearly enough energy to sustain the world. They just don't. And not only that, they're made quite similarly to Apple iPhones and machinery like that. And to build those things, well, you need rare earth minerals. And when you need rare earth minerals, you have to refine them, which is highly toxic for the environment. So, yeah, guess what? Your solar panel, great idea on paper, but in reality, to make that damn solar panel, you have to use rare earth minerals, which is bad for the planet. And then it doesn't produce much energy at all. And I mean, of course, we have to think in the future of a greener planet, but Joe Biden's economic plan seems to look the other way to China's business practices because obviously they're not going to do anything that is detrimental, furthermore so, to their economy than what Donald Trump did to their economy, which they had coming. They deserved it because of the horrible things they do to this planet. And there are too many people like Joe Biden in positions of power who look the other way because it's convenient for him. He's an old man. He's going to die soon. What does he care? Plus, he's delusional and he has no concept of many things. Or he does have a concept of many things, and he's got a heart blacker than coal. We don't know these things. I mean, it's a stretch to say he's going to put on that act for 4 years, but to be in the position that he's in and sold his soul to the devil, who knows? Maybe he will put on that act for 4 years. What I'm getting at here is Joe Biden's big plan, his $1 trillion economic plan, is basically opening the doors back to China. The very people, ironically, who gave this virus to the world. He's going to open the door and trust them all over again. Because he doesn't actually have a real plan. That's not a real plan. That's like going to someone who stole your watch and buying your watch back. No, that's stupid. And, you know, sure, coal's bad for the earth, and there are places like Australia which are completely reliant on it because they just don't have the resources to provide energy for their people through other means. And yes, coal is bad for the planet, but the Chinese have a tendency to use, I don't know, probably 500 times as much. I can make up any figure I want, and guess what? If it's in the hundreds, it's probably fairly accurate that the Chinese are using in comparison to the Australians. And what do we get in all this? Well, the average everyday citizen, and this includes people who make triple digits, you know, they tend to feel a little bit richer if they can always go out and buy a toaster or a frying pan or an iPhone or any of that bullshit. You don't fucking need it. Most of the time, anyway. I mean, if you had a reliable toaster that didn't break after a year of you owning it, then you wouldn't have to keep buying one, and then, you know, you wouldn't have to waste your money on shoddy craftsmanship and slave labor. So, is Joe Biden being good guy, progressive, liberal, progressive thinking? Absolutely not. He's a slimeball sellout. And like people like to go, well, Donald Trump was one. He was, you know, Wall Street big shot, you know, bully, blah, 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 blah. Well, they all are to an extent when they get to that echelon of society. And I do say echelon of society. That's right. A man who wears orange makeup and has a comb over is in the upper echelon of society. A man who can't even remember his words, stumbles, falls half asleep during his interviews, is in the upper echelons of society. And is that an embarrassment? Well, yes, it would be if the world was a sophisticated place, but it is far from that. I have made examples of why it is not a sophisticated place in many areas of the world. Many countries of the world are not sophisticated. And it is people who are blatantly ignorant of how good the United States is in some places, not everywhere, but some places, that make accusations that, oh, Donald Trump is an embarrassment. Got news for you. There's a lot of places that are an embarrassment, and they're far worse. But anyway, we're talking about the economic plan here. I don't agree to opening the door to the wolf into the chicken coop when the wolf has already gone in, ate some of the chickens, left, the door was closed, and the wolf wants to come back in, and Joe Biden's like, welcome back. To me, that is ass backwards stupid as fuck. However, where is Joe Biden going to get any money? Well, the thing about the United States and its connections that it's made out throughout the decades and all that sort of stuff, there is always opportunity for the country to make money, regardless of who's in charge and what pilfering has been done. There's always pilfering. I'm not going to say that Donald Trump hasn't been pilfering, knowing that, his second term is not very likely at this point in time. Of course he's pilfering, and he's stashing his money in the obvious sort of places, like Russia, for example. Probably Australia, and, places that were friendly to his regime. Whereas Joe Biden is got empty pockets. He was begging to be let in on press briefing or intelligence briefings. He was begging for Donald Trump to concede, to allow the transition team to go in for it's probably a few $1,000,000, but it isn't going to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars that he's getting for the transition team. They don't need it. You know why they don't need it? As I said before, the national security runs 24/7 regardless of which president is in or not. Yes, the president makes decisions and their entourage makes decisions, and it affects how national security works. But if you think they shut down all of a sudden because there's inconclusiveness with the transition of power, if there is to be such a thing, at this point in time, then you are a stupid person. It's like a firefighter going, well, they're naming a new chief, so, that hasn't been decided, so that fire across the street, I'm not going to put it out. Because, the powers that be within the fire station haven't decided who's going to be in power, so, that's the reason why I'm not going to do my job. I mean, what is this? Is this Bugs Bunny? Did you get hit with a frying pan? Are you seeing stars? You gone out of your head? Lost your mind? I'd argue Joe Biden has, but we will see. We will see how he behaves in the future. Is he going to be a reclusive president where he only has to make the smallest amount of speeches, only has to put on the facade that he's gone senile, because that's what the world wants to say. They want to say sleepy America, not getting involved in other people's business, which is what the Chinese want. The Chinese want to go to Africa and places like that to enrich themselves, and they don't want American interference. And is Mr. Joe Biden going to turn a blind eye to that as well because he's a little bit tired? I wonder. We don't know that yet, but if you're looking out for it, you'll notice. You'll notice. They won't talk about it. They'll distract you with stupid subjects. And they'll act like, well, look, we're moving forward in a new direction for all of mankind. Look at us. We're representing Black Lives Matter. We're representing the LGBTQFCKFN movement. Look how progressive we are. No, that's a bit of old propaganda to distract the people. You don't actually give one tinker's rat's ass about any of that stuff. That's the truth. You don't care what people do, like, in that regard. If they are not disrupting government business, they're going to do absolutely nothing about it. And they actually have in a lot of ways, but, that was for political maneuvering and gaining against the other party. However, that power struggle is not going to be over with a Joe Biden administration, because he only narrowly won. And it's because his arguments, it's a toss and turn between his and Donald Trump's of what is best for the country. And, they liked Joe Biden's ones a little bit more, but only a little bit more. There are things about him that they already don't like as well. And bringing Rocky or Obama back for another round after he's too old to do it, politically anyway, he's already had his 2 terms. But is he going to go over there and go into military meetings, briefings, and things like that? Yeah, he is going to, because even if Joe Biden is clever enough to fake his Alzheimer's, he is not a very intelligent man. He doesn't need to be either. He's got enough sycophants around him that'll lie for him and get mad when anyone questions his cognitive ability. And this is the man who's supposed to raise the economic disparity of the world, in particular the U.S., and fix everything. And it's like, any accomplishments he makes are not going to be any better than any of the accomplishments that Donald Trump made. There'll be different ones, of course, if he can manage that. Again, we'll see. No one can predict exactly what's going to happen, but there is more than sufficient reason to suggest that Joe Biden has no interest in fulfilling any of his promises or anything he says, and he's already created a cover story that he doesn't have the cognitive ability to process and remember his policies, executive orders, and things like that. So it's like, if they don't go through the way he wants to, it's like, oh, gee whiz, I forgot. I don't remember anymore. Therefore, they don't count. No, you senile old bastard. They do count. And if you get it wrong, we're going to call you on it. Maybe it won't make liberal mainstream news. And I say liberal lightly because they're not liberal. They believe in the same abusive policies that previous Democratic parties have gone through, and even some Republican ones as well. As I said, there are still many elements like the treatment of North Korea. In a way, I don't give a rat's ass about North Korea, but in another way, it's like, well, if you want global peace, then, sort of diluting that problem would be a priority, and we don't need any more Americans losing their lives over a Korean conflict. And, the South Koreans, they've lived in terror for, many decades, so they don't exactly deserve to continue living in fear. This economic plan is not beneficial for everyone. It's still going to make Russia the giant hermit kingdom. North Korea is a small hermit kingdom. Australia is a hermit kingdom. Those are the 3 big ones I can name that are particularly not going to benefit from any economic plans that the current administration, or the presidential-elect, I should say, has in mind. Even Mexico, all the reasons they had to hate on Donald Trump, even they were on the fence going, oh, do we really trust Joe Biden? Was he and the Democratic Party, were they really that nice to us? And it's like, sure, they let a few of you sneak across the border, although at one point in time, during a significant part of Donald Trump's presidency, Obama had actually forced illegal migrants to leave the United States in that same time frame in their presidency, more so than Donald Trump. There was a period in time where Obama outpaced Donald Trump in getting rid of illegal migrants. A lot of people don't understand that. They go, Well, that's not what I heard on the television. That's not the rhetoric I was supposed to believe. Well, that's because you don't have a brain and you're stupid. You don't understand things. You don't understand that people are pathological liars. And when they get into politics, they especially lie about everything. And I mean, to Joe Biden's compliments, he is made it clear that he's an overt liar right from the get-go. And when you know someone's an overt liar, then, I mean, there's no pretense to trust them. There's no going, well, actually, this guy sounds like he's telling the truth. Maybe he is, and, I kind of believe him. It's like, no, he's lying about stupid things, and if you don't see that for yourself, you're extremely stupid. And if you do see it, you go, well, I noticed a few lies there, and, maybe in that way he's telling the truth that he's going to be a liar. Imagine saying that. He's telling the truth in that he's going to be a liar. Sounds a little bizarre, doesn't it? And getting back to the economic plan that he has, he is completely reliant on the Chinese providing manufactured goods to the United States. And who knows what he's willing to trade to get those products. And it may be more than resources because of how pissed off the Chinese are because of Donald Trump, giving them what for. And it may be food product, like heads of cattle, like I've mentioned. They're getting kind of sick of eating soybeans over there. Soybeans aren't very tasty. It's pretty low down to be eating crickets and spiders and scorpions and things like that. It's not a prestigious food. And then, you get people going, well, you guys eat lobster on the east side. How is that much different from a bug? Maybe because it's not filled with pus. That's actually meat on a lobster, not pus, like a fucking grub out of a tree. There's no prestige in eating a grub out of a fucking tree. And they know that. But they don't tell their own people that because they go, well, this is the food we have, so we'll just brainwash them into thinking it's great. When it's not. I mean, what's the matter with you people? Are you fucking stupid or what? Anybody who alibis, protects, and seeks the further improvement of the mainland Chinese Communist Party's economic situation is the lowest of the low. Yes, very sad. You'll see me cry one measly, tiny, insignificant tear over the millions of slaves over in mainland China who manufacture these goods and are oppressed by their government. And you know why that is? It's not because I'm a bad guy. It's because those very same people would like us to work, 15-hour days, fucking toiling away, fucking walking around in rags. And, I got an iPhone. I'm not poor because I have the iPhone. It's just like the GoldenEye movie. Not the GoldenEye movie. The James Bond movie with Roger Moore, where he was talking about a black woman, and the black woman said, because she had a gold tooth, that she couldn't remove the gold tooth and sell it to buy food because then she'd be poor. It's the same mentality. I forget which one that was. It's the one where the black people were the villains. Anyway, it's the same thing. People are walking around as slaves, but they figure, since I have the iPhone, I'm not poor. I use the iPhone as an example. All the other phones are just as bad. But the iPhone in particular is extremely bad. And it's like, no, you're poor as fuck. You just got an iPhone that's really expensive. You mismanaged your money. And, some people, they don't want to hear things like that. They don't want to hear that they're wrong. They don't want to hear that they're colossally wrong. And, I would really be up for a debate, for someone to say, well, this is why you're wrong. No one, and I mean no one, has approached me and said anything to the contrary to what I've said. And you know why? I think it's because it's the truth. And that people don't have a counter argument other than, let us introduce you to what the world doesn't teach you, because we're college noodles, blah, 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 blah. No, you're a bunch of fucking idiots. This economic plan with the Chinese, it's going to flounder. I want it to flounder over the next few years. We're going to have to deal with Biden, unfortunately. Despicable character. I don't have anything nice to say about the guy. And he is going to push for things that I just fundamentally don't agree with. I don't support a Chinese economy that wants to build weapons that one day might destroy us. I don't support an economy that will willingly poison the ocean so that they can fuck us up. I don't support that. And if you do, and I don't care what your ethnic background is, you're fucked up in the head. You got something wrong with you. And if you got something wrong with you in that regard, fuck you. Fuck you and everything you believe. I don't give a shit who you are. And if you talk down to me, I'm fucking gonna let you know. And I don't care who you are. So yeah, I've said it. That's it, man. There are some people who are going to benefit from this Biden administration, and maybe they'll have a biased opinion about it. And there are a lot of people that will not benefit from it. And one of the people that will benefit from it, because he chooses to turn a blind eye while pretending to be progressive to the evils of the world, is Justin Trudeau. And a lot of people idolize him because he can go on the podium and sound like a pleasant, nice guy for however long he has to. And they don't see him for what he is. That he's a little crook and a dirty, reprehensible person. A lot of people don't want to think that of him because they live in Canada and Canada's great. Well, gee whiz, I can tell you a lot of things about Canada that aren't great and aren't well managed and are as embarrassing as Donald Trump's worst embarrassments. This country's run by slobs, incompetence. And I ain't got nothing nice to say about them either. And don't even fucking think about saying free healthcare to me. Don't you fucking say it. Because that is it, if you say it. It's a bunch of bullshit. So anyway, many factors to include in this conversation, and unfortunately this video cannot go long enough to state all the things that are going on with this transitional team. But I will say, and I say it proudly, Joe Biden, in his first steps in presidency, whether there is a physical example of this or not, he's coming in stumbling through the gates. He is the goaltender in the National Hockey League who spends his first game in the NHL and he's going to fall flat on his face as soon as he leaves the bench. And you know what? Whether anyone chooses to acknowledge that or not is irrelevant. That is what has happened. He's a goofball and an incompetent. And this is assuming he doesn't have Alzheimer's. So anyway, that's what I got to say about that. So, you don't have to agree with me. I'm not a dictator. I'm not going to get Letterman fired because he said something that Obama didn't like. So you're entitled to your opinions. You're entitled to your thoughts. Anyway, that's it. I've had enough. Anyway, Talk to you people later. Have a good one.